Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. I'm the last Water, and today we've Snapshot 22W12A, which introduces boats with chests, along with waterlogged trees, and there's the return of the Warden. First, let's start off with the big new feature of the Snapshot, boats with chests. Now, there are 7 boats with chests, one for each type of overworld wood. You can easily craft them just with any boat plus a chest in the crafting table. And once you have your boat with a chest, you can just place it down. Unlike regular boats, this boat here can only hold the player or another mob. You can't have 2 mobs sitting in it like you can with regular boats. The intended purpose of the boat with chest is likely for when you go off exploring in the ocean and then loot a bunch of structures like ocean monuments, buried treasure, shipwrecks, and ocean ruins, where you'll end up getting a lot of stuff. So this boat with chest here is just a convenient way to bring it all back to your base. But that's not what I'm going to be showing off in this video. The most interesting part about the boat with chest is actually its size. The boat with chest is just big enough to fit on top of 9 hoppers at the same time. The first container which can do this. If I open this one up and put some items in, you'll notice the count keeps decreasing by 9, and this one down here keeps gaining 9 items at once. Though technically, boats with chests can receive even more items for their input. With a setup like this, the boat with chest can gain input from 33 hoppers at once. Just an important note though, these hoppers on the side, since you have one on top of the other, need to support a double speed hopper setup, because otherwise, this hopper here won't input anything. But with a setup like this, with one hopper pushing items into this one, and this one drawing items from the top, 2 items are taken out at a time, and 2 items can be placed in at a time from these hoppers. As an example of the contraptions that are now possible thanks to the boat with chest, here's a very simple early game 8 furnace array. While this might not be the best looking build, it is definitely practical and functional. To use, simply come up to this top boat here and place in your fuel, then go down here to this boat and place in the stuff you want to smelt, like this raw pork chop. These items will be perfectly and evenly distributed to all the furnaces, and they would also cook if furnaces weren't bugged in the snapshot, which is kind of unfortunate. Here's another, slightly more advanced smelting array. This one uses 32 furnaces, 16 on each side, and this time I actually put the boat with chest inside a minecart. Because yeah, minecarts can actually pick up boats and boats with chests for some reason. The way this works is pretty simple. The minecart goes back and forth on these powered rails, and the boat with chest, because it's slightly big enough to fit over the hopper, will distribute its items to them. I also include these extra 2 blocks of powered rail at the end, just so when the minecart's turning around, these hoppers here don't steal out some extra items. So, in order to work this, all you have to do is put the fuel in this chest, and the stuff you wish to smelt in this one, then just let them go down the rails. It's that simple. You can also put a clock on this end here to better distribute your items and include like from a bigger stash of items, of chests and such. But in order to do that, it would require a pretty precise clock, which wouldn't be easy to make because there's actually no way to detect the number of items in a boat with chest, because unlike minecarts, which can go on detector rails, and so hopper minecarts and chests with minecarts can be detected by a comparator, there is no such way to do that with a boat with chest. So you would need a pretty specific clock in order to get that working. And all the items end up in this chest here. Because I put the fuel in after I put in the items to be smelted, I bypassed the furnace glitch, allowing all the glass to end up in the chest. Some final notes on the boat with chest. I'm sure this will see use in a ton more contraptions, and not just smelters, though I don't have time to come up with all those in this video. The mechanic of minecarts being able to pick them up, for instance, will probably see use in some potion brewers, bone meal distributors, and even maybe some sorting systems. Some other things to note is you have to hold shift when you access the inventory of the boat with chest, if you just click on it regularly, you'll end up hopping inside, which might not be good if you make some complex contraptions. In order to prevent this though, you can just put some small animals inside, like rabbits or pigs. I don't recommend chickens because those lay eggs, which could get caught in your hoppers. Let's now go over some other features introduced in the snapshot. For one thing, you can now waterlog leaves. This was likely added because last snapshot we were given the ability to waterlog mangrove roots, which function pretty similarly to leaves, though there are a few exceptions. For one thing, you can power mangrove roots, but you can't power leaves. You can also move slime on top of leaves without them being pushed by it, but you can't with mangrove roots. And mangrove roots can be pushed by a piston, and if you give them a 1-tick or 0-tick pulse, they'll also push the water block inside of them. This you can't do with leaves. Because leaves can now be waterlogged, that means trees will look less out of place if grown underwater. Obviously, we can do this with the propagule, just place it down, and then bone meal it. Right now, we get an oak tree, but eventually that'll be a mangrove tree that grows underwater, which you can actually grow other types of trees underwater. It's a bit harder because water will break them, but if you just plant them down on some dirt and surround them with logs, you can still grow them. Though not every type of tree will grow like this. The Swift Sneaking enchantment was also reintroduced in this snapshot, though it's now a leggings enchantment, the first exclusive leggings enchantment in fact. And if you have leggings from the 1.14 versions, when you could get God Armor, you can actually combine the two together to get some even more insane leggings. Though, functionally, this enchantment hasn't changed since when it was introduced in the experimental snapshot. Everything else about it is the same. Finally, we get to the Warden, which has also been reintroduced in this snapshot. Though, this time, it's buffed. For one thing, the Warden is no longer an undead mob. This means you'll no longer get to do extra damage to it with this Smite enchantment. Also, the Warden is immune to lava. Instead, it just bounces strangely on the lava. I'm not sure why. It also can't actually swim in the lava, so it's a sitting duck. The Warden is also unaffected by water currents now, and it'll swim upward in water if it has to. And it swims upward pretty fast. Unlike in lava though, Wardens can actually swim in the water. The Warden has also been made harder to cheese. Currently, I'm on top of a 4-block pillar, which the Warden would have never been able to attack me from before. However, he can now. If I just go over here, he can attack me from down there. This means that pillaring up is no longer a valid strategy in beating the Warden. Additionally, you can't choose the Warden now by continuously knocking it back with a punch to bow. And that's simply because the Warden is just now immune to all forms of knockback. The punch to bow literally doesn't move the Warden at all. It's completely knockback immune. Even though the Warden has been made harder to cheese, that doesn't mean he's impossible to cheese. For instance, even though I can't hit him from 5 blocks up, I can still shoot him with my bow, and there's nothing he can do about it. And this guy, over here, still can't fit under this 2-fold gap. And as long as I stay 2 blocks away from him, he can't hit me. And then finally, this guy out in lava is a sitting duck. There's nothing he can do to stop me from shooting him. And that's all the new stuff from this snapshot. But that's all I've got for now, so thank you all so much for watching. As always, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, and goodbye.